What's going on with y'all? We back at it again. I'm grinding. I'm trying to get to this bag. So, we're gonna do another reaction. This guy Matt Perry, I rock with his content, and he's out here. So let's see what he's talking about. Cause he's saying the market's starting to explode. I don't know. A lot of this stuff be clickbait, but let's see what he's talking about.
What's up, you guys? It's Matt here. So I got a comment recently on one of my videos basically saying what my overall thought of the crypto market is and of the markets in general is. A lot of people are trying to find a solid reason as to why the crypto markets are falling, why the markets are falling. And you understand that there's a multitude of reasons and examples as to why this does fall or is falling right now based on some past information. So I wanted to talk about the crypto market and give you guys maybe a little bit of an explanation, because there's no like real explanation, but we can always talk.
We're gonna skip to the meat and potatoes because I'm not really here for all the talking. Oh, I was gonna pull this chart up anyway, so let's see.
So right now, the crypto market, from what I see on CoinMarketCap, the global crypto market is around 1.41% increase in the last 24 hours, in the last day. You could see it's up to a $1.78 trillion market cap. You see Bitcoin's dominance that has decreased by a little bit. So you're seeing that decrease from where it was, I believe, at that 42 level, and now it's at 41.72% over the last day. So that's good. I like Bitcoin's dominance to decrease. A lot of people want Bitcoin's dominance to, increase. They want it to stay where it is, but I like the $1 billion market cap. Ethereum is at a
lot of people be coming up with these clickbait titles, but I mean, based off of my portfolio, I haven't really seen too much craziness going on. I mean, it's pretty stagnant. So I don't know if I'd call it the crypto market exploding. I'm gonna listen to him for a little bit longer and give him a chance, because I rock with him. But a lot of these people in the crypto space and stocks too, they do these clickbait titles to grab y'all attention, and I don't see it.
But basically double what Bitcoin actually is right now in the last 7 days. Increase, not the market cap, because the market cap, obviously, it's half of that level, but we can definitely see some movement, so I can't wait for that. BNB, that's up about 1.43. So what I'm looking for is basically a 4x going up to $20. We do see Gitcoin as the next position.
Oh, he got money. Yeah. I'm honestly, I'm not about to waste your time with this video, because I didn't see anything exploding. And I know that I just stole his title. I'm gonna be honest with you. I gotta keep going live. But what prompted me to do this video, I wasn't gonna make this video. It's another clickbait title. It's called XRP, which is my biggest crypto holding. It says XRP is it happened, SEC loss. Hello? Oh shoot. Damn. Let me see. Hold on. Hello. Let's click to this next one. Stand by. Technical difficulties. Out here struggle streaming. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. Let's see. I gotta cut this Bluetooth off. Keep that. See if this works. If this works, we will keep going. If it doesn't, we already on that. I'm just so lost. Lord Jesus. Oh, there it is.
Changes including.
Oh, cool. All right, we back. So I was about to cut this stream off. All right, so this next title is called XRP. It happened. XRP gets relisted and the SEC has lost. Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This is probably cap, but we're gonna react to it anyway. Let's check it out.
Coinbase? What are the signals in the market that indicate so? What is the new say of SEC in the lawsuit? Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out. But first, we are giving away 50 XRP. All you need to do is to like the video, subscribe and comment your thoughts on XRP Lab community. There are a number of reasons why I think XRP will be relisted on the majority of cryptocurrency exchanges in the near future. First and foremost, despite the fact that the cryptocurrency market has been falling lately, XRP price movement has been showing a great deal of vitality. Alex Cobb offered an example of XRP soaring.
I'm not gonna waste your time. Like I said, like I'm gonna skim through it, but I'm not really about to skim through it because he's not. XRP, the SEC didn't lose yet, so I don't know why these people put these titles together. It's really annoying. And then when it actually happens, like I just stopped watching videos like this because when it actually happens, I want to be able to put, like I wouldn't do that because I want to be able to actually put.
Oops,
like,
oops, I have some good news for stock.
Struggle streaming over here. Yeah, but we are gonna go into some actual advice, like. And this is the reaction to Jeremy from Financial Education talking about great news for the stock market because at least he's not clickbaiting people. So let's go to that. And then we're going to exit on that.
Stocks. I also have a little bit of bad news in this video I want to share as well here today. Let's just jump into it. I got a bunch I want to talk about here today. Okay. So in regards to the market, huge day again for the markets. This is the best day for the Dow since, listen to this, 2020. Since 2020, this is the best day for the Dow. Biggest point move upward there. 800 plus points, just a massive day. NASDAQ had a really good day, up over 1.5%. S&P 500 over 2% move. Russell over 2% move as well. Bitcoin's doing well. Ethereum's doing well. Everything just pretty much a lot of green out there today. A lot of green. Now, this is amazing news, okay? Now, the reason this is amazing is this was kind of, a lot of folks said this was going to be a bad day for the market, right? And the reason being is yesterday we had a huge reversal, right? Mm-hmm. A huge reversal where the market tanked at the open. The market was just going down and down and down. It looked like it was going to be a horrible day that everybody expected. And then we turned and the market ended up finishing up. I think the NASDAQ was up like 3.3% or some insane number, right? It was like one of the biggest turns in the NASDAQ in the history of the NASDAQ. Incredible. But what everybody said, or at least a lot of people said, was, yeah, that's fine. That was just a freak one-day event. Just wait. Friday, the market's going down big. And then all of a sudden today, the market doesn't go down big. And actually, we have not just a green day, but an extremely green day where the Dow has its best day since 2020. Just an extraordinary turn in the markets here. And so if you're thinking about kind of the markets, you know, it can't be any better than this. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't get any better than you expecting to be massively red and the market turns massively green. So that is very, very good news. And I think this is big for the psychology of the market right now. By the way, just real quick, I forgot to announce this at the start. Stock Market Investing Master, I think it's a lot of value from that. I'm going to talk about a lot of individual stocks here. Square, PayPal. So Square, massive day upwards today. Look at this.
And let me know what y'all doing because I got most of my investments is in crypto, but I am looking to jump back in the stock market.
26% move yesterday around the open. That stock opened yesterday at like $82, $83. I mean, my gosh, you know, anybody that was picking up these shares, you know, anywhere near the open yesterday, and even as the stock climbed to the 90s, I mean, my gosh, you got a deal steal. So congrats to anybody that has bought Square in the past week or two. This stock has just gotten way oversold. They reported really good numbers. I looked at their metrics. I still got to listen to a conference call. We didn't have it quite up on Hungry Bowl last night, so I'm going to listen to a conference call through that. More than likely tonight. Last night I got to listen to Beyond Meat, and you know, I'll get into Beyond Meat in just a minute. But Square. So this is good news for PayPal. So if you're a PayPal shareholder, be happy at this as well. You know, at the end of the day, these two companies compete. Obviously, the Cash App competes kind of with PayPal and Square, or excuse me, PayPal and Venmo a bit, which obviously PayPal owns, right? So they're a bit of competitors, but just to be honest, usually if one of these companies is doing good, the other one's doing good as well. Okay, that's just kind of how it is. It's kind of like, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. That's a very similar situation here. And throughout the year, the numbers are going to get strong.
He ran, so I'm going to just skip around. see, because I'm
longer actually as the year goes throughout for Beyond Meat, and I think that stock sets up in a beautiful position for.
Let's see what else I got. I think this is an old video. That video is from Friday.
What I'm discussing
with and today's Sunday. So we'll go to the next one. With this video is called a video I wish I made by I forgot this content creator's name. We'll roll it.
What I'm discussing in today's video has profoundly important implications for the world, for sustainable energy, for Tesla, for national security, and more. I feel compelled to make this video. I wish I didn't, but I really have no choice. What I'll be discussing is difficult, complicated, and nuanced. But first, a warning. If you're emotionally or intellectually challenged, and how do you know if that's you? Well, if your butt began to tingle at the very descriptors you just heard, that's definitely you. And if that's you, it's best to stop watching now. Your butt will hurt. You will get triggered. You will poop your pants. And nobody wants that. So, come
Look like some kind of cold. Like, talking about pooping pants. What?
back tomorrow. I'm going to discuss the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the role companies like Tesla and SpaceX can and are playing, and I'll share my completely uninformed opinions as some idiot on the internet who doesn't know anything about anything. This is a real-time stream of consciousness. This video is for Tesla stock investors. Okay, so did the babies leave the room? Is it just us adults? Good, let's get into it. But first, a message for Putin. Please kindly fuck off and die. Okay, let's get into it. This is the
Nah, I did not expect that. I don't really allow cursing on my channel, but we live.
point in the video where I normally promote my Patreon and affiliates, but it's not the time or the place. I will be running ads on this video on YouTube simply because rumor has it that videos that don't have ads appearing in them are less likely to be promoted, therefore less people see this, and it's an important message to get out there. All proceeds from this video will be used to help doing that. While you try to colonize Mars, read from the Vice President of Ukraine. Quote, Elon Musk, while you try to colonize Mars, Russia tried to occupy Ukraine. While your rockets successfully land from space, Russian rockets attack Ukrainian civil people. We ask you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations and to address sane Russians to stand. A few hours, yes, hours later, not days later, Elon Musk responding. Starlink service is now active in Ukraine. More terminals en route. This is an incredibly important and extremely useful thing to do. If we take a step back, it's stunning that a company run by a private citizen is even capable of offering satellite internet access at the drop of a hat to a country currently being invaded by Russia. Starlink isn't a communication service that can be easily cut off, unlike some of the ground-based communication services which could be bombed, destroyed, etc. Next minute, people within Ukraine can't communicate among themselves or share messages with the outside world. Now, let's look at a couple of tweets from the head of Russia's space program, Dmitry Rogozin. Quote, this is through Google Translate, but we get the message here. Do you want to ban all countries from launching their spacecraft on the most reliable Russian rockets in the world? Does anyone get the feeling that old Dmitry here doesn't know about SpaceX? Let's see what else he's got to say. Do you want to destroy our cooperation on the International Space Station? Sounds like Dmitry's panties are in a little bit of a twist. Dmitry is sounding ever more unhinged. If you block cooperation with us, who will save the International Space Station from an uncontrolled deorbit and fall into the United States? Or, by the way, just taking a moment here, sounds a little bit like a veiled threat, doesn't it? Fuck with us, we'll deorbit the space station and have it crash on one of your cities. A few screws loose, Dmitry continues. Europe? There is also the option of dropping a 500-ton structure on India or China. Do you want to threaten them with such a prospect? The ISS does not fly over Russia, so all the risks are yours. Are you ready for them? Well, it appears that Dmitry, get it, Dim, because I'm not even going to explain that one, forgot about old SpaceX, but sure enough, Elon Musk is there to remind him. So Dimwit over here thinks...
What an idiot. What an idiot, son. Oh, man.
He has the world, especially the United States, by the balls, when in fact he's actually squeezing his own scrotum. So in the midst of the conflict, a single company founded by Elon Musk, SpaceX, able to step up in two major ways. First, countering the ridiculous threats from the head of the Russian space program, threatening to deorbit the International Space Station, have it crash into somewhere below. Meanwhile, SpaceX and Elon Musk can solve that issue even if Russia pulls out. The second, providing broadband internet access that can't easily be deactivated. In the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, could anyone name a company whose impact is more profound? Serious question. Please let me know in the comments. I'm open to ideas, but I can't think of any. Thank for Elon Musk and SpaceX. Not a very controversial thing to say, but here's something that will be rather controversial, but it's also accurate, and spitting facts that cause butts to hurt is something that I tend to do. We're going to talk about the moronic, idiotic, lunatical, comments and actions from so-called environmentalists. And don't get me wrong here, I think it's important that we transition to sustainable energy generation, storage, supply, everything. As Elon Musk has pointed out, it's tautological. If it ain't sustainable, well, it doesn't pan out too well. But this is a very nuanced issue. To give the most extreme example possible, let's just say tomorrow you decide to ban use of all fossil fuels. What happens? I'll tell you what happens. The entire fucking global economy collapses. We plunge into the dark ages once again. I'm serious. This isn't hyperbole. That's the
I mean, a lot of stuff, a lot of things are relying on fossil fuel right now, but I feel like as we continue to go on into the future, it's not going to be like that. So, I mean, you got companies like Tesla and all types of companies trying to get rid of the actual use of needing oil and all of this stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, currently, right now, I agree with him, but in the future, we're moving away from that. And I don't want to get political about global warming and all of that stuff, but who knows?
The extreme example of environmentalism. Fossil fuels are evil, stop using them immediately, the end, just that's it, done. This, unfortunately, is actually the way many of the brains work, and, well, I don't know if work is probably the word, but don't work. In many of the minds of people making decisions around the world, which has caused a bit of a problem relating to this Russia and Ukraine conflict. And exactly what is that problem? Well, you see, Russia has many countries by the balls. Many countries are wholly, primarily or partially dependent on Russia for energy. That's right. And what does that mean? Well, in a situation where a country like Russia, and by the way, I want to be clear, Putin sends forces to invade Ukraine, doesn't appear like many Russians are on board with this decision, so I'm not referring to the people here, just to be clear. When a moron like Putin decides to invade a country like Ukraine, the world isn't able to react as decisively, quickly, and completely as they would be able to were they not currently bent over by Russia and dependent on them for a huge portion of their energy needs. Of course, it's quite obvious over the long term it's extremely important for every country on Earth to be completely independent as far as their energy generation, storage and supplies. No country anywhere on Earth should be dependent on another country for energy. If there's ever any conflict, you've got a bit of a problem. No energy, no economy, you don't want that. And here's where we get to the part about some of the brain-dead decision making by environmentalists. One example, straight off the bat, Biden administration in the United States campaigned heavily on the environment. One of the very first actions taken by the Biden administration related to the Keystone Pipeline. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with this. If you don't know, the Keystone Pipeline is an oil pipeline between Canada and the United States, relating to an ongoing expansion of the pipeline. On January 24, 2017, President Donald Trump took action intended to permit the pipeline's completion. However, on January 20th, 2021, President Joe Biden signed an executive order to revoke the permit, and it was granted. Instantly, thousands of people out of jobs overnight. Not even kidding. Now, don't get me wrong here. I understand the argument. Why do you want to continue to expand this pipeline for fossil fuels? We need sustainable energy. But what happens when you kill the expansion of this pipeline? Well, you still got to get that energy from somewhere, and we're not generating enough sustainably, so where's it come from? Let me think here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, R, R. That letter, R. Russia. Right. Can you see how that might be a bit of a problem? When someone has you by the balls, it's generally not in your best interest to grab their hand and tighten their grip. That's exactly what the United States and many other countries have done. Another classic example of absolutely brain-dead decision-making, of course, is Germany, decommissioning their nuclear power plants. Why? Well, it turns out that most people in the general public are ill-informed idiots, at least on this particular topic. They think nuclear power is extremely dangerous. They're concerned about the environmental issues. They have no idea, no concept about how much energy is generated for every single nuclear plant versus other sources of energy generation. I could go on and on and on and on. The point is, most people in the general population are completely clueless when it comes to nuclear energy, and therefore they're automatically opposed to it because apparently it's really bad. This is not accurate. So of course,
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too, but I never really understood it. I'm not gonna lie. So
Germany engages their brain, nothing really happens, and decides to begin decommissioning nuclear power plants without even considering, wait a minute, okay, guys, has anyone thought about where do we get the energy? Because they make a lot, and when we shut them down, where does the rest come from? We're not going to have to, I don't know, rely on fossil fuels from countries that will then have us by the balls that are nearby, maybe like Russia. Spoiler alert, that's exactly what happened. At this point in time, there's only so much Germany can do. There's only so much many parts.
Yeah, from what I've heard, Germany gets about 30% of their oil from Russia, which is a decent chunk. In the US, I think we get about 10%. So, yeah. I mean, they want to go against Russia, but they need Russia. So, it's pretty interesting.
Of Europe can do. There's only so much the United States can do because they're all, to varying degrees, dependent on oil and other fossil fuels from Russia. But don't worry, not all hope is lost. You know what? Screw Russia. They can always get their oil from the Saudis. Oh, wait, that might be a bit of a... I think there's a bit of a problem here, isn't there? Moral of the story, obviously, every country needs to become energy independent ASAP, but no sooner than is possible. And by doing things like decommissioning nuclear plants before you're producing equivalent amounts of energy sustainably, and doing things like killing an expansion of a pipeline that's currently providing oil from Canada to the United States and now needing to depend on Russia for that same oil, might be a bit of a mistake.
That's just stupid. Use your common sense. Like, why would you kill a deal? And I'm all for like electric and all of that stuff, but why would you kill a deal before you actually had the same amount of energy? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And now, like you said, you got people, now we're relying on Russia. I mean, it's only 10% from what I've heard, but still 10% too much.
Personally believe the conflict between Russia and Ukraine at the moment will ultimately spur and accelerate the transition to sustainable energy generation, storage and supply. It's going to be a great thing overall, but I think there's a very valuable lesson. Ideological extremism. For example, ban all fossil fuels immediately, next minute the global economy collapses and we go back to the dark ages, is not helpful. I personally believe that environmental extremism has played a major role in how the world has reacted and responded to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of sanctions, but few countries are able to really step up and drop the hammer because they're partially dependent on Russia for energy. As you can see, this is a very complicated and nuanced issue. And now I want to share a very short clip from a news organization who wears their right-leaning bias on their sleeve, so make no mistake, this isn't unbiased coverage. But I think a few fair points are actually made. And on reflection, some of the statements, some of the quotes you're about to see may not only be reasonable, valid and fair, but in fact have been intelligent and wise.
You see, what I find out about, that's why I watch both right and left, because in my experience, they both, like, there's some truth to both sides. And if you only watch one side, well, you know, then.
And just quickly, before we watch this clip, it's important that everybody watching understands exactly what NATO is. I'm sure most of you will have heard the name, but just in case, I know a few people won't have the full details, allow me to quote from Wikipedia. NATO constitutes a system of collective security whereby its independent member states, aka different countries, agree to mutual defense in response to an attack by an external party. In other words, if somebody decides to fuck with a member country,
somebody messes with one of us, they mess with all of us.
Of NATO, the other members of NATO agree that they'll come and kick their fucking ass. The United States is part of NATO, as well as a number of European countries, including Germany, France and Italy. So keep this in mind as we watch the clip.
Do you miss him yet? Do you regret falling for the fake hysteria pushed by the media that Trump was a danger to world peace, that it was going to start world wars and usher in an age of violence and conflict? The truth is, far from starting World War III, Trump engineered multiple peace treaties in the Middle East and implemented policies that weakened Russia and China. And he did it all the whilst being maligned as some Russian puppet. He warned Europe and indeed the world what would happen if countries kept bolstering Russia by becoming dependent on its oil and gas.
You're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate?
Trump pushed hard for NATO members to increase their spending. stop strengthening Russia, he argued, and he recognised the security danger that Nord Stream 2 posed, so much so that President Trump signed a new law that imposed harsh sanctions on any firm that helped Russia's state-owned gas company.
And you see, that's why I watch multiple newses, because on one hand, you had people saying that Putin had Trump in his pocket. And then on other hands, if he was really, and I'm not defending Trump. I'm usually on a fence when it comes to these politics. But if Trump was really working for Putin or whatever, like the left news was saying, versus the right, the right shows everything good about Trump. The left shows everything bad about Trump. And the same thing with Biden. Like, the left will show everything good about Biden, and I have to go to the right news to see the stupid stuff that Biden has done. So, like, I'm 100% sure most left news would not have talked about this. And the fact is, that makes a lot of sense. If we're trying to prevent Russia, and our goals don't align with Russia, why would we sit up there and give Russia money? Like, that makes no sense.
Guess what the Biden administration did last year? Yep, they waived the sanctions on the company building the gas pipeline between Russia and Germany.
And once again, I'm 100% sure if you were watching left news, you wouldn't have seen this at all.
3 days ago, Biden reintroduced the sanctions. A tad too late there, Sleepy Joe. President Trump, and frankly anyone with a functioning frontal cortex, knew the dangers of what would happen if Russia was allowed to become an energy superpower.
Should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period, they have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem.
But whether President Trump was warning about the dangers of becoming dependent on Russian oil and gas, or warning NATO members that they had to spend more to properly protect their countries and region from the likes of Russia, the media just continued to mock and malign him. When Trump addressed the UN in 2018 and warned about Germany becoming reliant on Russian oil, again, he was mocked. This is senior CNN reporter Edward Isaac Dovier, who tweeted this: German delegation reaction to President Trump at the UN, saying they're on track to become totally dependent on Russian oil. Well, they're not laughing now, are they? Trump was right. No. Russia now accounts for 65% of Germany's natural gas imports. Germany closed its nuclear power plants and now
says Russia accounts for 65% of Germany's natural gas imports and almost 40% of the EU's.
Over billions to Russia. As the Wall Street Journal pointed out earlier this year, a 2-decade-old decision to phase out nuclear power and more recent moves to cut reliance on coal in an effort to bring down CO2 emissions means Germany is now more reliant on Russian gas than most of its neighbours, not just for heating, but also for power generation. Germany's dependence on Russian gas has left Europe short of options to sanction Moscow if it invades Ukraine, and itself vulnerable should Russia stop gas exports to the West. And here we are. It's little wonder that despite the lies, gaslighting and disinformation pushed by the bulk of the media about Trump and Russian collusion, The majority of Americans say Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine if Trump were president. Yes, according to a new Harvard-Harris poll released Friday, 62% of Americans believe Putin would not.
I don't even know, but that might be, because like you said, this is a right-leaning media. That might be debatable too, because I don't think there was anything that Trump could do about it. Like, Germany was clearly laughing at them, so it wasn't like he was going to persuade Germany from not working with Russia, and Biden obviously didn't. So we would have probably been in the same position.
Not be moving against Ukraine if Trump was still in the White House.
Now, there's one thing that I can agree that I've seen a lot of people discuss, that Russia probably wouldn't be saying things like when he talked about leaving the Swiss deal, that if anybody, like, they're going to see destruction like no one, whatever Putin said. And I'm just like, in my head, if I was the president, try certain people you don't want to give the button to. And I feel like Trump is that kind of guy because, you know, he's got that alpha kind of like, try me. Like, because, I mean, Russia is a super country, superpower, but don't get me wrong. I mean, the United States spends $800 billion on the military. Like, no one comes close to how much money we spend on the military. I'm pretty sure we've got some weapons that you have never seen before. And I promise you, most of these countries don't want to see it. And I'm a veteran, so I've seen some stuff. I'm gonna move on.
The other 38% are either stupid or lying.
She must be taking classes at the SMR School of Savagery. And don't get me wrong, I want to make sure that people watching understand this. I'm not some Trump fanatic, okay? The guy's a deeply flawed individual, and that's putting it lightly. But
Right.
he also actually makes some very valid points. He's discussing members of NATO whose responsibility the United States has to defend if they need it, and vice versa, are literally giving Russia billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars every single year for fossil fuels, much of which they wouldn't need had Germany, for example, not been decommissioning their nuclear power plants for 20 years, and the United States closing a pipeline between Canada and the US, and on and on and on and on. Now, allow me to share a few lessons, a few takeaways, all my opinion. Number one, for every country on Earth, becoming completely energy independent should take priority over becoming sustainable. Of course, transitioning to a fully sustainable economy, energy generation, storage and supply is necessary and important and should happen as soon as possible, but not at the risk to national security. Over the long term,
Right, that's stupid. Like, now Germany doesn't have any power over Russia. Like, if Russia decides to close, like, stop giving Germany oil, their whole economy is gonna fall. Like, it's that simple. And instead, you could have kept those nuclear powers up and had those running until you started to wind things down, and you could have transitioned over to renewable energy instead of relying on a different country.
the conflict between Russia and Ukraine will make this very obvious, and I believe this will actually greatly accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So there is a silver
That's true too. He's making some really valid points. Like, I feel like the barrel of oil has gone up to over $100. I already filled my tanks up. I suggest y'all do the same. I did that with my wife yesterday too. Made sure those cars were filled up, because as the price of oil and gas increase, less people are going to want to be relying on gas. So this is going to expedite people wanting to go get cars. Like, if I was going to go get a car, planning to get a car in the next few months, and I could afford, if somebody like me could afford to buy like a Tesla versus, I don't know, let's say a Porsche or something like that, it would be that whole gas thing would be a huge consideration. So
lining here, but the transition will take time. There's only so many Powerwalls Tesla and other companies can make, only so many solar panels. Another valuable lesson here is to not let ideological extremism cause you to do truly moronic things, like the example of Germany. I mean, seriously, decommissioning safe, incredibly efficient power generation options, because why? No rational reason at all, and becoming dependent on Russia for fossil fuels seems a bit of a silly thing to do. In fact, it doesn't seem, it is. It's absolutely fucking brain dead. I absolutely condemn Putin's decision to invade Ukraine. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, don't even get me started on that. But there is a silver lining here. I think that this is really going to emphasize and make people understand the world over how important it is to be able to locally generate your own energy, to store that energy, and to not only use that energy, but where needed also supply that to others in your local area. We've also seen how incredibly important a service like Starlink global broadband will be in the future. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming in tomorrow's video, but I had to make this. I felt compelled.
all right, I think I'm done, because I did a lot of work sitting here watching other people's video. I appreciate y'all being here, because, you know, I mean, eventually this is going to start making me money while I'm watching other people's videos and I'm reacting to them. And yeah, like, this is way more simple than the editing that I do on my main channel. So that's all I got. Y'all stay cool. How y'all be cool. I'm